The headlines scream from screens around the globe. China deploys jets to Scarborough Shoal. Philippine Coast Guard intercepted inside own waters. Tensions in West Philippine Sea reach boiling point. These are not just words, they're alarms ringing across the Pacific. Today, October 24th, 2025, we witness a dangerous escalation in a long-simmering dispute. The West Philippine Sea, vital to global trade and rich in resources, is now a stage for high-stakes geopolitical drama. China, a global superpower, is flexing its military muscle in waters internationally recognized as Philippine territory. Chinese ships patrol near Philippine coastlines. Jets buzz Philippine aircraft. Each move brings the region closer to a miscalculation that could ignite a conflict with global impact. The world is on high alert as the ripples of this standoff reach Washington, Brussels, and beyond. The Scarborough Shoal, Bajo de Masinloc to Filipinos, has become the crisis epicenter. For centuries, it's been a traditional fishing ground for Filipinos. Now, it's a fortress. Chinese vessels swarm the area, blockading Filipino fishermen from their ancestral livelihood. The deployment of Chinese buoys and military hardware is a stark, aggressive statement Manila cannot ignore. This is more than a territorial dispute. It's a test of international law and a challenge to the freedom of navigation that underpins the global economy. For the Philippines, it's an existential threat. Food security, national pride, and sovereignty are on the line. The first week of October 2025 marked a turning point. Satellite imagery confirmed China's boldest move yet, deploying large, bright orange buoys deep inside Scarborough Shoal's lagoon. These weren't navigation aids, they were markers of control, emblazoned with Chinese characters. This is ours. The buoys signaled a shift from passive presence to active occupation. Within days, Chinese maritime security personnel arrived, setting up temporary structures and communication equipment on the shoal. This was no longer a blockade from afar, it was a physical occupation. Then came the jets, Chinese fighters conducting low-altitude passes over the shoal, a dramatic military escalation. Air power changed the dynamic, showing China's willingness to enforce its claims with force. The roar of jet engines over the calm waters was the sound of crisis reaching a new level. The buoys claim the territory, the personnel solidify it, and the jets enforce it with an implicit threat. For the Philippines, this was a direct assault on sovereignty. Scarborough Shoal sits just 124 nautical miles from the Philippine mainland, well within its exclusive economic zone. China's actions were not just provocation, they were a direct violation of Philippine sovereign rights. The international order was being challenged, and the tension had reached a perilous new height. The world was forced to take notice. China's salami-slicing strategy in the West Philippine Sea is all about incremental gains. Deploying buoys seems administrative, but it creates new facts on the water, physical markers of Chinese control. Dozens of Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels swarm areas like Scarborough Shoal, forming a gray zone blockade. They use water cannons, blocking maneuvers, and overwhelming numbers to keep Filipinos away from their own waters. This overwhelming presence changes the reality. China decides who enters, who fishes, and who must turn back. For Filipino fishermen, every trip is a gamble. Will they be chased, harassed, or worse? The introduction of air patrols adds a menacing layer. Fighter jets intimidate and surveil, normalizing Chinese military presence. China is methodically rewriting the map of the South China Sea, one buoy, one ship, one jet at a time. International law says these waters belong to the Philippines, but on the water, China is in control. The world is watching as the status quo is changed, step by step. The tension has taken to the skies. On October 19th, 2025, a Philippine Coast Guard aircraft on patrol over Scarborough Shoal was intercepted by two Chinese J-10 fighter jets. The jets flew dangerously close, performing aggressive maneuvers, a clear act of intimidation. The Philippine crew was forced to abort their mission, a stark demonstration of China's willingness to use air power to deny Philippine access to its own waters. Similar incidents have been reported by the US and Australia. Chinese pilots flying so close that a collision is a real risk. Each encounter is a roll of the dice. A single miscalculation could trigger a crisis. For Filipino pilots, it's a constant source of stress and danger. The skies above the West Philippine Sea have become a high-stakes arena, with every close call risking catastrophe. The world watches nervously as the fragile peace hangs by a thread. The risk of a fatal misstep grows with every aggressive pass. Scarborough Shoal is more than a collection of rocks. It's a lifeline for Filipino communities. Its lagoon is a rich fishing ground, vital for generations of Filipinos. China's blockade since 2012 has devastated local livelihoods, forcing fishermen into riskier, less productive waters. The shoal's strategic location makes it a critical outpost. If militarized, it would complete China's strategic triangle in the South China Sea. This would give China dominant military reach across the region, threatening freedom of navigation. For Filipinos, Scarborough Shoal is a symbol of sovereignty and national pride. Losing it would be seen as surrendering national territory. The fight for the shoal is a fight for the Philippine soul. The Philippines is not backing down. Through assertive transparency, the government documents and publicizes every Chinese incursion, forcing the world to pay attention. Journalists are embedded on patrols. Videos and photos of confrontations are released regularly. The government supports fishermen with better boats, equipment, and subsidies, acts of defiance and resilience. Diplomatically, Manila files protests and strengthens alliances, revitalizing its defense treaty with the US and forging new partnerships with Japan, Australia, and Europe. This multi-pronged response leverages truth, law, and the courage of the Filipino people. Despite being outmatched militarily, the Philippines is determined to defend its sovereignty. The message is clear. Manila will not be intimidated. The Philippines is not alone. The US, its oldest treaty ally, has reaffirmed its commitment. An armed attack on Philippine forces in the South China Sea would invoke mutual defense. US military presence and joint exercises with the Philippines have increased, sending a clear signal to Beijing. Japan has deepened its security partnership, providing new patrol vessels and exploring troop access agreements. Australia conducts joint sea and air patrols, improving interoperability and maritime awareness. The European Union, UK, France, and Germany have voiced support and sent naval vessels to underscore freedom of navigation. This growing coalition isolates China diplomatically and boosts Manila's confidence. The world is making it clear, the West Philippine Sea is a global concern. International support is crucial for deterring further aggression. The stakes are high, and the message is unified. The stability of the region matters to all. At the heart of the conflict is a clash between international law and China's historical claims. The 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, defines the Philippines' rights to its exclusive economic zone. In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration ruled in favor of the Philippines, invalidating China's 9-dash line. China rejected the ruling, insisting on its historical claims dismissed by the global community. The Philippines and its allies fight to uphold a rules-based order. China pushes for a world where power trumps law. The dispute is about more than territory. It's a test for the future of global governance. Will shared rules prevail, or will might make right? The answer is being forged in the waters of the West Philippine Sea. The West Philippine Sea is a tinderbox. Military vessels from multiple nations operate in close proximity, raising the risk of miscalculation. A collision, accidental weapon discharge, or aerial intercept gone wrong could spark a major crisis. If conflict erupts, the US could be drawn in, pitting nuclear-armed powers against each other. The South China Sea is a critical commercial waterway. Any conflict would shatter global trade and economies. The consequences would extend beyond economics, destabilizing the Indo-Pacific and undermining decades of peace. If international law is ignored, it sets a dangerous precedent for other global flashpoints. The world watches anxiously as the crisis unfolds. The next weeks and months are critical. Diplomacy and deterrence must prevail. The fate of Scarborough Shoal is a bellwether for the global order. This is not just the Philippines' problem, it's everyone's, and the clock is ticking.